everybody, how you doing? Woo! Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games of the evening. PHLY Flyers Postgame is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And I'm getting tired of saying it, Charlie, but ain't nothing. Thank God we got Bet365. It's the best sponsor we've ever had, simply because the team is never ordinary.
Never.
In fact,
Never.
They're weird as hell. They're ridiculous. This was one of the most boring games I've ever watched. The Flyers did nothing for, 19 minutes and 49 seconds. And then Morgan Frost ties it up. Sean Couturier wins it in overtime. Center's scoring all over the place. Just, wow, look at this center production all of a sudden. And they win in overtime again, Chuck. How do you describe? We were just talking before we went live. 9 out of 23 have gone to overtime. 7 of 12 in the month of November have gone to overtime. Is it just one of those things? Is it, well, this team, that's John Tortorella, that's the culture, they don't give up? Like, what how do they do this every single night? JP's not even here. We can't blame him.
Well, first off, it's because they're the Flyers, and the Flyers are the chaos organization. They've been the chaos organization since the day they were founded. So, that's the number one reason. If we're talking about actual reasons beyond just the fact that Flyers are going to Flyers, it probably is the fact that this team struggles to score goals and they are coached by John Tortorella. And that is a combination where it's okay, if you have a team that is always going to play hard defensively and a team that doesn't have a lot of talent that can score, then they're going to play in a lot of close games. And if you play in a lot of close games, you're naturally going to play in a lot of overtime games. Now, the fact that they've played in 7 overtime games in a single month, and it's not even just that, it's the fact that, so they had 4 straight overtime games earlier this month, and now they're in the midst of a 3 straight overtime game run. So it's it's not even just that they're doing it a lot, they're doing it in clusters, where it just feels like, oh, every single game is overtime now. That's what we're doing. It is wild, and some of this is just, I think, the natural chaos of following and covering the Philadelphia Flyers. But if you're looking for an actual reason, it's the fact that Torts makes this team play hard defensively, and this team doesn't have the talent to score a lot of goals, which is a recipe for a lot of one-goal games, and one-goal games have a good chance of going overtime.
Charlie, they've had 7 overtime games this month. There's still 2 games left in the month.
Yeah.
We could have 9 out of what would that be? 14 games in a month going over.
Indeed.
It's very much within the realm of possibility. We'll see about that Black Friday game, and make sure you check out allphly.com's Black Friday sale. You don't have to throw up the graphic. I'm just letting people know. We're having one. Look into it. My notes on this game in the outline, I'll read them word for word. Kolosov was huge on that early penalty kill in the second period.
Yeah.
TK sucked tonight. Those were my 2 notes. And then I was going to let's do a normal show. It's a post game, but nothing happened. And we don't have another regular show this week because there's so many games and the holiday and everything. But we have to talk about the game a little bit because a bunch of things happen in the final 5 minutes or so of actual gameplay. So let's start it with just what we saw out of them before tying the game. Scott Laughton gets the 1 to tie it early.
Pretty fluky goal.
Yeah, pretty fluky goal, as was Roman Josi's goal.
True.
He walks Emil Andrae, gets to the outside, circles around the net. He tries to center it. Sanheim, decent position. He takes away the pass option, but it hits a skate, goes in the net. That's how Nashville scored their first. And then the second Nashville goal is a wicked one-timer after a few one battles in the corner. Ryan O'Reilly rips one home. Didn't seem like Kolosov had the post sealed, but also there was a lot of options there. I get why he might have been trying to move to his left. What did they do Like, I mean, they didn't do anything. I don't even know what the question is. Like, how did they look so dead for so much of this game and then pull it together at the end like they have so often?
Well, one thing I will say, and to be clear, the Flyers through 49 minutes and 40 seconds of regulation got outplayed dramatically. Nashville was the better team. They controlled play. They had the puck basically the entire game. So we'll get that out of the way right now. However, I will note, and I will give the Flyers a lot of credit, because if this wasn't true, they never would have gotten to the point where Morgan Frost can have those late heroics and where Sean Couturier can score in overtime. As bad as they were with the puck, they did defend well in their own zone. As soon as they had the puck on their stick in the defensive zone, it was a dumpster fire. But when they didn't have the puck on their sticks, when they were just defending, they were really good. They blocked a ton of shots. I don't know what the final counter was. I know it was over 30, but they were blocking a ton of shots. And they didn't, for as much as Nashville had the puck, and Nashville had the puck basically the whole game, Nashville didn't create a ton of super high quality chances. Like, looking at this, there were 52-27 in terms of 5-on-5 play. So a little of about 52 and a half minutes of 5-on-5 ice time. In all that time, if I had to guess, I would guess the Predators had the puck probably 42 minutes of those 52. And that might be honestly being too generous to the Flyers. In those, let's say 42 minutes, Nashville managed 6 high danger scoring chances. You would think that they would have managed at least double digits. To just give up 6 does speak to how well the Flyers played in the defensive zone in their structure. And that's what gave them a shot, because the Flyers should have gotten blown out in this game. Nashville should have won this game 5-0, given the fact the Flyers never had the puck. But give the Flyers credit for hanging in there in the defensive zone. Clearly, they had nothing going in terms of handling the puck, at least until Morgan Frost and Sean Couturier figured out the way to beat Juuse Saros, was running those rush tip plays down the center. But give them credit. They played in-zone defense very well, and that kept them in it and gave them the opportunity to have those late heroics that gives them the win. So I'll give them that. I will.
No, absolutely. We often have criticized, oh, well, he's good defensively. And it's like, well, he better be, because he's just in his zone all the time. And sometimes I think guys get a good defensive rep just because, well, he's big and I want to give a reason for why I play him so much. So he's good defensively. But like the Flyers, when you see how little they had the puck to only allow 27 shots on goal, like it should have been 40. It should have been 44.
Exactly.
Like the amount of time that Nashville just had possession and the number of turnovers, to Charlie's point about how bad the Flyers were with the puck, and guys who I expect to handle the puck a lot better. Listen, Emil Andrae, he's going to have nights where he's not one of the Flyers' better defensemen, and maybe we got a little spoiled with how well he's played for the most part early. But it just seemed like every time he passed the puck, it was to someone in yellow. And not to single him out, because Travis Konecny, I've never seen him play. I don't know if I've seen him play that poorly, at least not in 3 years, just in terms of everything he did went the wrong way. And listen, you're going to have nights like that. Everyone has bad nights. It was just like, wow, this is horrendous puck management. Every time they were within 3 feet of either blue line, it was like, uh-oh, someone better get back because this ain't going well. Yeah. And that's just the way it went. But they did defend. And when there were some opportunities, Aleksei Kolosov was there. Yeah. And I guess that's where I want to start tonight with Kolosov. He stops 25 out of 27 for a .926 save percentage. We've said, I think he's played a little better than his numbers. Maybe Fedotov hasn't been quite as good as those numbers during his little hot streak there. What did you think from Coley, the goalie, tonight?
I liked his game. Some people gave him grief for the O'Reilly goal. To me, it looked like Ristolainen completely screened him on that goal. Also, it looked like Scott Laughton just sort of left Ryan O'Reilly just open. He decides to blast the zone. The Flyers don't even have the possession of the puck along the boards, and he's gone. I don't really pin that on Kolosov, because Ristolainen is setting the perfect screen. he ends up out of position because he's looking around Ristolainen, because Ristolainen is like Wayne Simmonsing him, except he is on Kolosov's team. So I don't think that's that bad of a goal. The Josi goal was clearly fluky. It bounces right off of Sanheim. Like, maybe you could make a positional argument there, but that's just a fluky goal. So I don't think he gave up any bad goals. However, I also don't think he had that many amazing saves, because, again, it speaks to the quality of the in-zone defenses. They weren't giving up a ton of high-quality chances or odd man rushes or breakaways or things like that. Travis Sanheim bails him out on one that almost squeaked through. And, he saves his bacon in the third period. So don't forget that play. That was a big one. But to me, the more impressive part of Kolosov's game, it wasn't because I thought he stole this. It was that he held down the fort, didn't give up any howler goals. And also, like, it's tough when you are having to be at attention in goal basically the entire game. You have no downtime whatsoever. The Flyers were in their own zone basically the entire night. And that's got to be exhausting, mentally and physically exhausting for a goalie when you have to be up and ready the entire game. So that's really where I give him the most credit, not because I think he made a ton of amazing saves that you can put on a highlight reel, but because he was under constant pressure and he never buckled.
Yeah, it was the like the high leverage situation. It's a 1-goal game, the entire game. It's a 1-goal game, and he has to be alert the whole time. There's no there was no special teams time in this game either.
Yeah.
Like, the Flyers get their first power play in the final 3 minutes of the game. Like, it was very late. There was no time to just be like, oh, okay, let me stretch the back out a little bit here. It was high leverage all night, and I will give him credit for that and holding it down when he was called upon. Happy to see that he is adjusting. I thought he could have been on the post for the O'Reilly goal. Maybe he just drifted a little far, but
I just think he was trying to figure out where the puck was, because Ristolainen was parked right in front of him. Like, I think
and
that's what it was.
There were options. Like, it wasn't as if, oh, this is definitely going to O'Reilly. Like, that could have come out to the far point too, and he just really was trying to locate it and then wasn't all the way on that short side. The goal gets by him. I was happy with Kolosov tonight. That's the kind of game you want from him, where doesn't steal it for you, but he's doing more than treading water, which is what, if he's going to be here, which I guess he has to stay in the NHL or he's going back to the KHL, you want him in games, and you don't want him just flat out sucking, losing his confidence, and not developing. It's a good development game for Kolosov, and he earns a win, which have been hard to come by for him. So happy to see him get it going tonight. Sean Couturier, 3 straight games with a goal, Charlie, because of course.
He's back.
He's back.
Actually, he never really left, but he's back.
Well, his back was gone, but now his back is back, and he is back. But now back. It's funny to think.
Back to back.
Yeah, it's funny to think how hockey works. Like, tonight is the perfect, like, yeah, man, it's pinball out there. I don't know. Like, we put so much time in learning, like, the ins and outs of the game, and trying to, every game we have a post-game show where we break it all down. What does it mean? It's like, none of it means anything. I don't know. They were bad all night and won. Who's to say? Anyway. But Sean Couturier, like, all the games where we looked at him was like, okay, he's not producing points, and a 1C has to score. Like, that's just the way it is. But he's playing well. Well, on a night where absolutely nobody played well, he ends up getting a goal, and it's the game winner in overtime, and everyone's happy. Go party out on Broadway before the plane leaves. Sean, is this kind of just the culmination of, things were trending up for him? He looked good after the first week or so of the season, and now the puck's finally going in, or is it he's playing even better now?
I don't think he's playing better, to be honest. I think that he was playing really well, and this is a little bit of the hockey gods rewarding him. Like, I talked about it on our shows last week, that if you looked at what Sean Couturier was doing at 5-on-5 in terms of driving play, he was right up there with some of the best centers in the league in terms of the Flyers controlling play over 55% of the expected goals when he was on the ice at 5-on-5. All of his underlying numbers look great. He just wasn't scoring. Now, I think he's just finally starting to get some breaks. Now, obviously, that's a really nice goal he scores. He picks up a secondary assist on the Morgan Frost goal as well. So he finishes with 2 points in this game. To be honest with you, and I know you said like not everybody, like basically everybody played poorly in this game. Couturier, I thought was one of the big offenders. He had a lot of turnovers, a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers. Just in terms of nothing as glaring as the one last night or 2 nights ago when he at the end of the second period, he just sends a backhanded pass from the boards to no one, leads to him taking a penalty and leads to the third goal that Vegas scores. But he had a lot of turnovers when he was under puck pressure, a lot of poor decisions with the puck that ended up just tossing it right back to Nashville. In a way, you could make the argument that he's playing worse over these last few games than he played in the games before. It's just now he's getting some puck luck and pucks are going in, despite the fact that I think he's making more mistakes with the puck than he did when he wasn't scoring. And Bill, that's just hockey. That's hockey in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's funny. Couturier, 19-15 tonight, third amongst the forwards. He's credited with 2 giveaways, but again, like NHL stat reporting on stuff that you can't bet on, it's horrible.
This is true.
There was a game where Michkov like literally datsuked somebody. Like they're cutting through center and he just comes the other way, lifts their stick, steals the puck, goes the other way with it. And you look at the box score, no takeaways. Like I haven't seen a takeaway like that since Mark Simoneau ripped the ball away from Eddie George. But anyway, Travis Konecny, 21-08, 5 giveaways. It's perfect. He gets the winning assist and sets up that play because that's TK, man. He finds a way for you. The way he willed that power play a couple of overtimes ago, just made that happen and then sets up the winner tonight. Another game-winning assist in overtime. I thought he was terrible, and you look 1 assist plus 2. Yeah, normal night for Travis Konecny putting up.
I have a hunch that he's playing banged up. He got banged up a few games ago. He missed the first practice after a day off late last week. He just doesn't fully look like himself, and he's gutting it out. And yeah, you're right. He doesn't look his most effective self on all of his shifts, but this is why you keep throwing him out there. Like, this is why if he tells you, yeah, I'm 75%, but I'm not going to injure it anymore, I could just play through it. And you're like, all right, if you were Ryan Poehling, we tell you sit. But 75% of Travis Konecny can still come up with a play like that in overtime and win you a game.
Yeah, and these boys, if anything, after at least that third period in overtime, they have earned the right to chill, and there's no better way to chill than with an ice-cold Coors Light. This team, they just drive us nuts. They're going to drive us especially nuts this season. I don't know how we could have any brain left to lose on them, but if we do, they're going to try to take it from us because they're the Flyers, man. That's how they play. Be bad for 58 minutes, win in overtime. Why the hell not? And that's why sometimes we all need to choose to chill, and there's no better way to chill than with that ice-cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about Mish not scoring, about the over not hitting, Sanheim, he did get his point, so that was cool. You need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies, because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, and when isn't it? Sometimes you just got to chill. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered, or find a store near you by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And I mentioned that Sanheim point. That was big, even though we didn't get our over. But we always make our bets here at Bet365, our presenting sponsor for this and every post game. I've been using Bet365 all season, and I'm a big fan. Just the other night, we had one of those early payout opportunities. Flyers open up a 3-0 lead. It looks like they squander it, but guess what? You would have got paid either way, because if you take Flyers money line in that situation, you get your payout like 30 seconds into the second period when they go up 3-0. That's why I love Bet365. I bet you will too. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Charlie, I've been a big fan since he got into the lineup of Emil Andrae. As you would say, did not exactly shower himself in glory tonight. And listen, this is why we want the young guys playing. Go make your mistakes, have your rough nights, learn on the job. And that's what Emil Andrae is doing. They weren't all that interested in playing him like when he was up here a month ago. Now, all of a sudden, he's in the lineup, and we're counting on him on a nightly basis. Plays 21 minutes tonight, credited with 3 giveaways. It might have been 100. He was just another guy. Did Nashville have sand on the ice or so? Like, I don't know what the hell was going on with the puck management, but I thought Andrae, one of the big offenders tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say he had a great game. I didn't hate his game as much as you did. Looking at his underlying metrics, he actually finished nearly break even. But per natural stat trick, he came in at a 49.46 expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. So not great, but not like he got bulldozed. He made a lot of mistakes. He had turnovers, but he's going to take risks. Like his turnovers are going to be more memorable because he has the puck a lot, because he is, I think, can be considered a puck moving defenseman, and he tries to take chances with the plays. And I think that's what happened there. Obviously, everything was disjointed for this team tonight in terms of moving the puck up ice, in terms of their breakouts. Andrae was part of it. I don't think I hated Andrae's game as much as you did, though. I didn't think it was good, but I didn't think basically any defenseman on the team with the puck played a good game.
Yeah, it just stood out because he's been one of their better guys.
Fair.
Like Sanheim, I thought, had some ups and downs, but also made some good plays with the puck. Yeah. But it was like, he made some bad ones as well. And you just come to expect that from a guy. What did he play tonight? 27, 28 minutes again?
26, 23.
Oh, wow. That's it. In an overtime game.
In an overtime game.
Basically a night off for Travis Sanheim.
Cam York's back. They can pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
Finally.
He still played almost like 3.5 minutes more than Cam York. But it is funny. Like, you just kind of come to expect it from Sanheim. Like, oh, he's going to have his ups and downs, but he's going to make some big plays. And he does. Brings the puck up ice, and then eventually is the one who gets the primary assist on the tip to the Frost tip. I thought that was a very nice play by Sanheim to get that game-tying assist. But no, I didn't hate Andrae's game. I just thought, and the coach tells him, like, you're one of the guys who takes risks. When I say take risks, I'm talking to you. We need you to create offense. They created no offense tonight, so it's not a shock that one of the dudes they can't on to do it. When he tried to make his plays, they just ended up going the other way. But these giveaway numbers for the defense are very funny. Like Sanheim 5, York 4, Sealer 4, Andrae 3, Grans 2, Risto 1. Risto had a strong game. I will say, in terms of turnovers, if they had lost this game 2-1, like it looked like was going to happen until they have that late surge,
right?
The way I was going to describe the game, Charlie, was this is one of those disconnected games.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're doing everything they can to keep the puck out of the dangerous areas, limit it. And then every breakout opportunity is a turnover. And you're like, the defenseman turning the puck over. Sure. Yeah, they need to not do that so much. But when I see like a battle won behind the net and finally Sanheim is just able to whip it around the boards, and the winger on that point is standing behind the point man in the neutral zone, and the point man's just able to stop it and be like, oh, thanks for the pass. Like, I can't blame that on the defenseman. They're just trying to get the puck the hell out of the zone, and there is absolutely no support. Was that part of the problem tonight, that little disconnectedness?
It's something I saw, to be sure. And one guy who I thought was a big culprit, he obviously was a big part of the O'Reilly goal, was Scott Laughton. Laughton, on more than a few occasions, to me, looked like he was leaving the zone early. And I think John Tortorella probably saw the same thing, because this is an interesting interesting little tidbit. Like, this is a guy who scored a goal in the first period. He's the only goal scorer in the first period. Okay. Generally speaking, you get a goal, you get ice time. Well, he scores the first goal of the game and he didn't break 10 minutes. He was the forward with the fewest minutes on the team. And to me, if you get that kind of usage after you scored a goal early in the game, that tells me the coach did not like what he saw with everything else. So Laughton, to me, primary culprit, but he certainly wasn't the only one. I mean, look, guys like Michkov, like, they're going to blast the zone and you kind of want them to, you know, maybe not every single time, but he's an offense guy. Obviously, if you get him the puck on a breakaway, unless he hits the post, he's probably going to finish it. So fair, but you know, guys like Scott Laughton, and I like Scott Laughton, but he probably isn't the type of guy where the risk-reward equation is in his favor in the sense of always blast the zone early. I'm not really sure what he was doing, and I'm not sure what a lot of the guys in this team were doing, because I agree. That was a big problem. The forwards were disconnected from the defensemen, and that was helping them mess up on breakouts because the defensemen were stuck trying to do long stretch passes to guys who were blasting the zone early. Those passes are harder. They weren't firing on all cylinders, moving the puck either. And that's when you end up with what they ended up with, which is basically never having the puck.
Yeah, and that's like, you want the right guys to be doing it, but it's just also like time and opportunity. When there is, I saw a perfect opportunity today. Owen Tippett blocks a shot in the middle of the ice. The puck leaks behind him, but he knows he has support behind him. I think it's Sealer. So he takes off.
Right.
He takes off right up the middle. And then Sealer gets the puck to him in the middle of the ice, and like, it's Owen Tippett. He's going to be gone most of the time. Like, that is the right time to do it.
Yeah.
When it's the puck's behind your net and the defenseman's just trying to rim it around, like, you need to be on the hash marks, or you need to be up at the point to create a battle to just get that freaking thing out. And I just think we're seeing the opportunities. Like, they're going for it, which is good. They have to take risks to create offense, but not nearly at the rate they're doing it, not the times they're doing it. It's just, I can imagine they're not being the best film session after this one, Chuck. And like,
agreed. They're lucky tomorrow is Thanksgiving and they're off.
They are.
Let me put it that way.
They are. And like, to speak about Laughton's ice time, 9:43 tonight. His line mates, Cates and Hathaway, both played like 2 minutes more than him.
Yeah.
So it's not like the entire fourth line. Listen, 2 minutes here and there, you get ice time, penalty kill, or whatever. But even when they were out there, no guarantee that Scott Laughton's going to get that ice time either. Do you think that's like, I feel like we've been saying Scott Laughton's name like on the negative side way more than we have in previous years, Charlie. Is there something up with Scott Laughton? Like, it just seems like he's making an odd amount of mistakes right now.
I don't know. Last few games, sure. And obviously before that, he was on that 18-game streak without a goal. But like, now he's scoring. The goals are coming. The points are coming. He's producing. It's just that the defense has slipped a little bit. Who knows? Maybe in this game, it was just he was feeling real good. He got a goal. So it's like, I can do this again. It's like,
try to get another.
He's like the guy at the blackjack table who, like, you know, takes the gamble hitting on one, and then suddenly he gets 21, and then it's like, well, just hit me. Just, it's 17, hit me. I'll get to 21.
I'm hitting
like,
on
maybe
17 every time.
Exactly. Like something like that. Maybe that's all it was with Laughton. And then Torts had to reel him in a little bit by not giving him a shift for the first 7 minutes of the second period. That's what he felt like he had to do to kind of get his attention. Maybe it's that simple. Laughton's underlying 5-on-5 numbers are better this year than last year. They're not amazing, but they're not as bad as they were last season, which was a major problem through most of the year. I just think this is Scott Laughton. You know, he's a perfectly fine role player in the bottom half of your lineup. And the reason why he's not a top half of your lineup guy is because he makes mistakes, but he's certainly far from a useless player. You know, he can score goals, he can produce. He's going to finish with his, 30 to 40 points probably by the end of the year. And you can bounce him around the lineup. He can play center. He can play wing. Like, there's a reason why, and we talked about this in pregame, there's a reason why teams all around the league would trade for him in a heartbeat. They think he could be a great fit on a playoff team as the, 10th or 11th forward on their depth chart. On this team, obviously, he generally has to play a little bit higher than that because the team doesn't have the kind of talent as true cup contenders. But I don't see anything terribly concerning about Laughton. It's just that he's not going to be a perfect player. He's making some defensive mistakes right now. And they're particularly memorable because some of them are going in the net. Like a lot of guys made defensive mistakes, or maybe not defensive mistakes, but definitely mistakes with the puck in their own zone that didn't end up in the back of the net, that therefore we don't remember the specifics. We just remember that nebulous, like, man, no one could complete a pass. Laughton's ones are more memorable because they're ending up in the back of the net more. I think that's what's going on more than anything else. He's not playing great, but he scored a little bit, and that's cool.
No, and it was like, was it last game where Fedotov threw him that pass on the boards? And like, yeah, I guess we can blame Laughton for that, but he's a heavily like checked guy with nowhere to go, and you threw a puck that he had no chance of handling right into some traffic. Like that one, we even let him off the hook for that in post game. So maybe it's just, when the puck goes in, you tend to remember it a little more, but I just can't remember this, like, saying his name this much, honestly, in post games, but I guess it just happens sometimes. But you led me mentioning playoffs, mentioning trades. You led me right into what I wanted to do today anyway, which was kind of talk more about the big picture stuff. Before we move on, was there anything else from the game that you think was like especially necessary to talk about?
Well, I do actually, before we move on, I do want to talk about Morgan Frost because that goal had to have been huge for him.
I know, probably so great.
I know he scored on Monday against the Golden Knights, and that I'm sure was very relieving, satisfying, combining the two. This one, though, I mean, to come through in the clutch like that, in a key situation with time running down, given the fact that he's been dealing with healthy scratches, given the fact that he's been the subject of trade rumors that we're going to talk about, to get that goal had to have felt so good. And you would hope that it gives him a little bit more, just maybe makes it less likely that Torts is going to throw him back in the press box anytime soon. So it's got to feel good for Morgan Frost, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, that's I'm ready to move on from Morgan Frost, and it's mostly for my own. I'm tired of talking about him, and just like the Morgan Frost conundrum. Like, okay, he's skilled, he needs to score, but he doesn't score enough. But maybe if you gave him the opportunity, he would. Like, I'm just tired of the conversation. But like the guy, I want success for him. He's a Philadelphia Flyer. He has put his life on the line for my entertainment. I appreciate most of the players who've done that throughout the years. Some of them I still just don't like. But yeah, Frost isn't a guy I dislike.
Poor Mark Recchi.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of Recchi. I'm trying to like reconcile with Recchi and Sile. He has no idea who I am. I don't need to like reconcile with him, but just like, listen, he's an all-time great. It's way over. He'll probably be on this coaching staff at some point or another. So like, I guess I got to get over it. But a guy who stepped up tonight, this was something that was on Twitter a little bit, Charlie. We get a little preview of playoff Risto tonight.
Playoff Risto.
Listen, this is, they were up against like the 31st place team in the league. So it's not as if, oh man, big game out in Music City. You really had to bring it all tonight. But it was a physical game. The refs were letting them play a little bit, which I always appreciate. But when it started to go a little like, Nashville's running around a little, suddenly Risto started throwing that weight around, looked a little bit more like early Risto, not taking himself totally out to get hits or anything. But he kind of answered back, and he even gets in on the forecheck.
That was a great play.
Yeah, he had a few hits in the offensive zone. That's good stuff. I just think he showed you a little bit more of maybe why, that's how the playoffs are played, man. It is a physical game, and you're gonna need to respond. They got to do it, Charlie. This is the year. Pull the trigger. Allow playoff Risto to exist by trading.
I would advise Daniel Briere to get a tape of this game and send it to every GM that has called inquiring about the services of one Rasmus Ristolainen, because this was a vintage like Risto doing all the things that the people that love Risto love about him. He has the huge hit on the forecheck that sets up a scoring chance. So it wasn't even a BS, hit while he takes himself completely out of the play. It was a completely viable, productive hit. Great play. And also just a mean hit. I mean, he crushed the guy. It was a mean, painful hit that the hockey men are going to love. There's that. He blocks 8 shots. He wasn't the only guy who was blocking a ton of shots, but he was the guy who led the way on a night where the Flyers blocked 32 shots. He blocked 8 of them. That's a quarter of the shots. It's a quarter of the shots that the Flyers blocked. That was Risto. So if the Flyers are indeed open to moving Rasmus Ristolainen, and there are teams that are calling Danny Briere asking about Rasmus Ristolainen, I would just say they should all wake up on Thanksgiving morning to a highlight reel of Rasmus Ristolainen shifts on Thanksgiving Eve, because that was the kind of game that should convince anyone on the fence as to whether Risto just might be that last piece that puts them over the edge to be playoff ready. This was a game that could convince you, especially if you're the kind of person, if you're the kind of traditionalist who wants to love Risto, this game will put you over the edge.
I mean, that was me before we got him. Watching Risto in Buffalo, I was like, he's probably a little overrated, but he could play for my team. Would love to have that edge. And he's starting to bring that a little. And 3-game point streak for the guy. The offense starting to come back a little. He gets an assist on the winner. He's out there in 3-on-3, which is, I don't know.
They've been doing that the last couple.
Thing?
He's been out there the last few. Yeah.
I thought I noticed him a couple, but
they've been using him more in 3-on-3, a little bit more.
Honestly, the way the defense played tonight, it was like, I don't know, sure, put Risto out there. Why not? Use 3.
I mean, you look at their defense. Okay, Grans probably isn't going to get a 3-on-3 shift.
Yeah.
Sealer definitely isn't going to get a 3-on-3 shift. Obviously, Sanheim and York are. And then I guess it just comes down to how you're feeling about Andrae on a given night.
Yeah, like Andrae should, but maybe a night like tonight, it's like, kid, you just don't quite have it tonight.
Too risky. Yeah, too risky given the situation.
You'll be out there next time, but this time maybe not. But I'm just Risto, another guy I'm happy to see it happening for. And this is a question that I hate getting asked, Charlie, because I have no freaking idea. Like when I was talking to the CHGO guys and we were talking about Morgan Frost, and I guess they had thrown out on their show the idea of 2 second-round picks. I was like, hell yeah. I mean, that's what we got for Timo Timonen. Sure, give me 2 seconds. But for Rasmus Ristolainen, it probably depends on how much salary retention and if the Flyers have the stomach to do it for all 3 years or whatever. Maybe you get a third team involved. What kind of compensation do you think you get for Risto? Like, he's playing 20 minutes a game right now. He is producing. Like, this is not the third pair defensive defenseman that he was last year, even when he was playing well. He's better than that right now.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head that it really does in a lot of ways depend upon the amount of retention. Because I don't think the Flyers, maybe they could move Risto, especially if he keeps playing pretty well. Because I don't think he's been incredible this year, but I think he's been good. He's been good, Risto. If he keeps playing like this, maybe you could move that entire salary, but you're not getting much back for it. You're basically just trading it to clear the salary. The Flyers are in a rebuild. They don't really need the cap space. So there's no real reason for them to be like, if they were where they were 3 years ago and they're going for it still, then it's like, yeah, we'll trade you Risto's full salary, give us a 6th-round pick, and we'll clear it off our books. Great. But that's not something they really care about right now. What they care about is acquiring assets to further the rebuild. So if you're going to do that, that inherently requires you to retain salary. Now, how much salary will you retain? That's where you get into the negotiation process. If they retain enough salary, like Danny Briere, I don't know if they're going to get it, but at least at this point, he absolutely should be saying, if we're doing significant salary retention, give us a 1st-round pick, especially with, the way he's playing this year. I don't know if that'll be ultimately what someone would be willing to give up for Ristolainen. But, you look at guys like Savard. There have been guys who play that style, even guys who, in the year they were traded, didn't have great advanced metrics, but they had that, oh man, he can take the minutes and he hits and he's playoff ready, and they squeeze 1st-round picks out of him. Maybe Danny Briere can do that with Ristolainen. I think the thing that does help him significantly, and obviously all this is in a state of flux, nothing's official, is the fact that it looks like the salary cap is going to be higher next year than people originally thought. That, in my mind, probably makes 3 years of Risto or 2 years of Risto, however many years left on that deal. I think it's 2. I think it's
this
2 more.
Year and 2 more.
Yeah, I think it's 2 more after this one.
3 years. Yeah.
It makes it seem a lot more palatable if the cap ceiling is $3-4 million higher than everybody thought it was going to be next year.
Yeah, like it going up to like 92 or 92 and a half, that's cool. But it's like, if it's 97, that's Risto's whole salary. You know, like that difference, you just got Risto for free, basically. At least that's how, this is like why I need TrueMark and stuff, because that's how I spend my money.
It's bill math.
That's like found money, basically.
So but like girl math, this is bill math.
Yeah. No, but like, and you look at the Flyers situation, like, sure, the cap space would be cool, but Cam Atkinson and Kevin Hayes are on the books through 2026. Like, after that, it would just be one more year of Risto. Like, the cap really doesn't matter until that 2026 summer, hopefully, and maybe not even then. Yeah. But it's always tough to come up with, because you don't know how much salary they're going to retain. You don't know, okay, if we throw in a fifth, will you make it a first the way they did with Sean Walker, that sort of thing. Like, but he's playing well. Is he a number one defenseman? No.
Of course
like
not.
That's over. But he has shown recently he can handle more minutes and he can handle more situations, higher leverage situations than even last year, like in between the injuries when he was playing well. But it was like, okay, but what is he?
Yeah.
He's shown to be a pretty damn good player. He can be a top 4 defenseman for you right now. If you're a playoff team, he's probably on your third pair, and that's good.
Exactly.
But guess what's going to happen in the playoffs? Injuries. That happens too. You want that depth. I feel like they might be able to. It might actually happen, Charlie. The thing I didn't think they were ever going to be able to do, move that Risto contract. I think they might be able to.
Yeah, it's just the thing that makes it tougher is obviously the years, and not even because of like the term element, but obviously that matters. What matters more is that a lot of times playoff teams they want rentals because they're so slammed up against the cap. They don't want a guy who they're going to have to account for a year or two down the road. They would rather just get a guy who's like, you know what, we're going for it this year. Sure. Here's a first round pick. We'll get our rental. And it's just easier. It's easier to do. Whereas with Risto, if you're going to trade for him, you need to account for the fact that he's on your books, unless you trade him too. He's on your books for at least 2 more years, which is why the retention is probably necessary. Because let me put it this way. If you're a team that has designs on winning the cup and thinks Ristolainen is like the missing piece that'll help you through the playoffs, you're probably not trading for him to be in your top 4. You're probably trading for him to be maybe you're like your number 5. He might be like your 4 or 5, where if he's having a good game, he can play in the top 4 minutes wise. If he's not, he's your third pair guy who gives you that physicality. And I think that's probably his ideal role. The problem is that with his cap hit, he won't be getting paid like a third pair, 4 or 5 type guy. So if you're a team that is good enough to play him in his ideal role, you have to account for the fact that you have 2 more years of him, which is why if you want to trade for him, you probably have to retain enough where a team can say, you know what? Yeah, now he's getting paid. He's getting paid fairly for the role that we're actually going to use him in. You know, an over $5 million cap hit, that's an overpay. If it's $3.5 million, suddenly some teams might be like, yeah, we could use him for this playoff run, and we're willing to pay Risto 3.5 to be our number 5 defenseman. That's then about market value for a quality number 5 defenseman, which is what he probably is on a really good team. So I think the retention is going to be necessary, but I do think he's playing his way. Also, the fact that he's just playing is big. He's showing he's healthy. It's putting the Flyers in good position to potentially get something of real value back for him if they're willing to retain.
Just one more thing on this, and then I got hit reads, Charlie. You look at the Flyers draft capital this year, 3 firsts, 3 seconds. We know about that, but they even have their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and they have an extra 5th from Carolina from the non-Tony D.
The Tony DeAngelo trade that wasn't a trade,
buyout trade, Massimo Rizzo, etc., all that stuff.
He's back. He's playing. First line center tonight. First line center tonight for the Phantoms.
Do you think it's worth throwing in like a fourth or a fifth just to up that return a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I don't know, we already have 3 firsts. Like, what do we really like? Do you think it's, yeah, throw that in there? I
Yeah,
always think it is, but like,
I
I'm an
I do.
NHL franchise GM.
I do. Yeah. I mean, look,
Okay.
you obviously would rather just get the first
Yeah.
rather than have to give up an asset to get it. But in a way, salary retention is kind of you giving up an asset. It's just an asset that people don't really think of as an asset because it is one of your 3 salary cap retention spots and it's cap space.
Yeah.
So to me, if you have to give up a fourth or a fifth to get another first, sure. And the idea of like, well, they already have 3 firsts, like, so get more. You know, you can always have more. Give me more darts to throw at the dartboard to try to get that high-end talent that they so desperately need. You're going to have a lot better chance of getting that guy in the first round as opposed to the 4th round.
All right, before we go any further, I got to tell you about staying healthy with Rite Aid. You got to help protect yourself from pneumonia. Being sick sucks this time of year. There's so much fun stuff going on. All
Less
the
than
holidays,
ideal.
yeah, all the holiday parties, all the sports going on. You want to be healthy, man. So help protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults age 50 and older are now eligible for the pneumonia vaccine. Used to be 65. The CDC lowered the recommended age. So go do it. Why not? Millions of people get pneumonia every year, according to the CDC. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when germs cause respiratory disease, typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Because some people, yeah, you get pneumonia, it's mild symptoms, maybe just walking pneumonia, you're a little run down, but you're all right. Others experience serious complications, and the vaccine is one of the best ways to help keep yourself healthy, and it usually comes with no cost with your insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And if you're unsure of what vaccines you might need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today. And maybe it's not like a respiratory illness. Maybe you got joints aching. Maybe you got cramping hands or your back's out of whack. Well, Rothman Orthopedics has you. At Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. And their mission, it's high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser-focused on their specialty: hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right in your backyard, so you can get back to maybe orchestrating the perfect breakout, putting that puck in the back of the net, and root for your teams like no other fans in the country. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman Orthopedics, specializing in you, specializing in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. I like to do the today thing with every single read now. It's
beautiful.
Just what's going on. All right, so we talked a little about Morgan Frost earlier, Charlie, and
Right.
happy to see him producing just because it's got to feel good. Like I like when dudes are feeling good, feeling their game, and there's nothing like a clutch goal to really get you going. But we talked in pregame. I just don't see a long-term fit here. You mentioned, and I think this is a big part of it. Listen, Jet Luchenko just made the team this year. Now, like, was he ready? I don't know. I don't know if I see 1C in him, but yeah, man, perfect middle 6 center at the very least, I think. And you look at Sean Couturier, he's scoring now. It's going well. But ultimately, we've said, like, dude needs to be Jordan Staal for this team. That's what it's, especially when you look down the line. Like, right now, we're getting 20 minutes a night out of Sean Couturier. What's it going to be when Michkov is in his prime? You're hoping he's still a productive 3C at that point. Morgan Frost is not a 1C. He is 25 years old. I am positive of that. And if he's not that, where does he fit?
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's a reasonable question. But the other point I made in the article I wrote for allphly.com, check that out, it's for diehards only, is that while I agree with you, Bill, that I am struggling to see a long-term fit unless the Flyers are just accepting the fact that their centers are going to stink for the next 6 years relative to cup contenders. Because, like, and I don't dislike any of these players, but if you're going up against true cup contenders and you're rolling Morgan Frost, Jet Luchenko, or at least what I think Jet Luchenko is most likely to become, and Sean Couturier, every single cup contender is going to have better centers than you. Like, they just will. And I don't think that's something you want to accept. So unless you're willing to just accept that, then you need to upgrade at center. And that's why it's a struggle to see where Morgan Frost fits if you operate on the assumption that Luchenko and Couturier are both pretty much locked in. Luchenko because they love him, Couturier because he's under contract with a massive cap hit and he has trade protection. However, despite the fact that I struggle to see maybe where Frost fits long-term, he is very necessary short-term if you look at it in that this year, probably the most important thing about the season is to develop Matvei Michkov. And if you're trying to develop Matvei Michkov as a rookie, and if you're trying to develop his offense and turn him into a better 5-on-5 player who starts scoring and producing in that situation, not just on the power play, you really would love to give him a center that can actually help him produce offensively. Sean Couturier is the team's best center. He's starting to score more. However, I don't want Michkov taking the kinds of matchups that you ask Sean Couturier to take. I don't think he's ready for that on a nightly basis, especially if you're trying to ease him a little bit into being the 5-on-5 monster that we're hoping he's ultimately going to become. I don't love, like, if there was a world where Sean Couturier was functionally the third line center, I'd have no problem with him with Michkov. But as long as he's the 1C, getting all the tough minutes and basically playing Selke level matchups, I don't really want Michkov with him. So I don't really want him with Couturier. I don't want him with any of Poehling, Cates, or Laughton. I just don't. You know, they're all NHL centers, but none of them have the kind of skill that I want them the pivot on a Michkov line. So if you want to give Michkov the best chance of producing offensively and developing his 5-on-5 offensive game as a rookie, you need a skilled center. Morgan Frost is their only offensively skilled center. Now, if there is a world where you can trade for another offensively skilled center, then sure, Morgan Frost is no longer essential to this season. But right now, he's the only guy on this team who makes logical sense to me as Michkov center. So yes, I agree with you. Long-term, I'm struggling to see the fit unless Frost takes a big step in the next few weeks, years, whatever. But I do think he is very important to this team in the short term, which I think is the reason why he hasn't been traded yet, despite the fact that Tortorella is Tortorella-ing with him. And this has been a thing for the last 2-3 years. That's why I don't think he's been traded, because they want him around to help Michkov, especially as a rookie.
You mentioned the idea. Yeah, if you can trade him and bring in another skilled center.
Yeah, sure.
Then that makes sense. Absolutely. I'm not going to mention Zegras because I don't even know if he's a center at this point. But that idea, he's kind of been that name that we've just kind of attached to it because it's like, well, he's maybe not getting along with their front office. They have a bunch of other pieces. Another dude who's come up recently, and it was a name that has apparently been floated back to the Cutter Gauthier trade, is Marco Rossi in Minnesota. My question, I doubt you know this, because if you did, you'd be Elliot Friedman. You will one day be, but you're doing this with me now. You're stuck.
Unlikely, but thank you, William.
I don't know who even knows the answer to that. Like, Billy Guerin might be the only guy in the world who knows the answer to this question. Why does his name keep showing up? Like, it seems like that's a dude they'd want to keep. Why does it seem as if they want to trade him?
You would think. Basically, what I've heard, and almost all of this is coming from Michael Russo, who is the Wild beat writer who just knows everything on that beat. He still works for The Athletic. He was my colleague for a long time.
He's really good.
He's as plugged in as any beat writer is on any beat in the NHL. And what he's more or less said on his podcast and in the articles that I read by him is that for whatever reason, Guerin, the general manager of the Wild, just doesn't really like him. He isn't sold on him, and he knows that he's going to have to give Marco Rossi, who is objectively speaking a good player, he's going to have to give him a long-term deal. Like, that's what he's going to need when he signs his next contract. And I just get the sense from reading Russo that Guerin isn't sold enough to feel comfortable to do that yet. I don't know if it's just the size, but it might just be the size. That maybe Rossi is just too small. He's just too small for someone like Guerin, who was, a bigger, tough dude, to want to be a core player on his team. It might be that simple, especially given the fact that they already have Kaprizov, who they're not getting rid of him. If he's leaving, it's because Kaprizov wants to leave in free agency. It's not because Minnesota is going to be giving up on him. Maybe Guerin looks at it and he's like, well, having those two guys just makes our team too small at the top of the lineup. I think that's dumb. And I think Mike Russo thinks that's dumb. But I could see Guerin thinking that. And if that's the case, this is where, if you're the Flyers, look, if this rebuild is going to work the way they want it to work, at least once, ideally multiple times, but at least once, they have to take advantage of another organization doing something stupid. And this could be an example of an organization souring on a player for a stupid reason. And you know what? Go out there and take advantage of that stupidity.
Ideally, your 1C on a cup contender is that badass, is that dude who can play in all situations and sets a physical tone as well as scores and all that stuff. I just feel like if you're Minnesota, have they ever been to a conference final? I don't know, build a different way. Okay, make sure your third and fourth line are filled with badasses, and you have Joel Eriksson Ek and those sorts of guys. Have that, and then see if you can create some room. I just watched a couple of years ago Jonathan Marchessault win a Conn Smythe. Danny Briere is Charlie's size. He's one of the best playoff performers I ever saw. Yes, ideally, you want a 6'2", 210-pound badass. That would be great. If you could have 12 Kachuk brothers, dope. But they're really hard to find. I just don't figure something else out. But if they can't, that's something I would very much be interested in taking advantage of, Charlie. And I want to get in before we get to super chats and everything. I want to tell people about our trip to Montreal. Because, man, those Montreal fans, they've been real mouthy lately. Let's put it that way. Even I've run into them, and I've created myself a nice little bubble on social media. I can't wait to go up to Montreal April 4th to the 7th for the Flyers-Habs game. Trip is through Philly Sports Trips, who just do an absolutely outstanding job. Trip to Montreal is a must for Flyers fans of all ages. Experience the thrill of hockey in its birthplace while cheering on the Flyers against the Canadiens. Trip package includes round-trip direct flights, Philly to Montreal, comfortable 3-night hotel stay at the Hyatt Centric Montreal, meet and greet with Flyers legend Brian Propp, group tickets to the game, all-inclusive tailgate, and a whole lot more. If you've ever been on a trip with Philly Sports Trips, you know they do it right. You know we love to do it right here at PHLY as well. So I don't see why you wouldn't just go to all PHLY right now. And if maybe you're looking for last minute, not last minute, I mean Black Friday's in a couple of days still. But if you're looking for a great gift for the Flyers fan in your life, why not make it an all-inclusive experience like this trip here to Montreal? And with that, I would like to thank everyone watching on television right now. For more of the show, check out allphly.com so you can check out Charlie's 3 stars.
Oh, we're doing 3 stars now.
Yeah,
all right.
I totally forgot. I looked at the time and it's 59 minutes. Let's hit it and then we'll figure the rest out.
Yeah, let's do 3 stars. So
hit us. Star number 3.
I will say third star. I will give it to one Aleksei Kolosov. Again, as I noted earlier, I don't think he was incredible. I don't really pin the blame on him for either of the goals. One's fluky. One, I think he was just dramatically screened, and Ryan O'Reilly should not have been left that wide open. So I'm not really going to pin that on him. He's a real good player. Yeah, he's still a real good player. So I don't really pin either of the goals on him. I just also don't think he made a ton of huge saves. I just think he was steady. He made all the saves he had to make. He had good defense in front of him, but he had to play all the time because the Flyers never had the puck. And he stayed upright. He stayed in control. He stayed focused. He made all the saves he needed to. For that reason, Aleksei Kolosov is my third star.
And those first few minutes of the second period, he was huge. It wasn't deep in the third period. He's making Brian Boucher sprawling saves and stuff like that. But in that 4-on-3 and all that entire first 5-8 minutes of the second period when they were all over, I thought he was absolutely gigantic. Hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, I'm giving it to the game-winning goal scorer who celebrated his goal with a little tumble, which was very endearing. Sean Couturier. I do not think Sean Couturier had a great game. I really don't. But you know what? When they needed him the most, he came through, basically just using the Morgan Frost MO. Pretty much the exact same goal, just on the opposite side of the ice that tied the game. Sean Couturier uses to win it. You know what? Sometimes all that matters is that you finish strong. And Sean Couturier finished as strong as possible. This is where you get the Blue Chew ad. Sorry, we don't have one today. But Sean Couturier gets the game-winning goal in overtime for that reason. He is my second star of the game.
Every now and then I wonder, Charlie's influenced me a lot. I wonder if I've had any on him. Dropping that. Oh, you're the best, Charlie. All right, hit us with star number 1.
Star number 1, Morgan Frost. And not just because he has the dramatic game-tying goal, although that's obviously a huge part of it. I thought his line, and they changed the lines up in the third, so I can't say with complete, certainty that it was always his line because they juggled things. First 2 periods, the Morgan Frost line was the only line that wasn't constantly buried. They were the only line that sometimes was getting in on the attack. Third period, they juggled things. But looking at the underlying metrics, Morgan Frost in a game where the Flyers got crushed. I'm talking like crushed at 5-on-5. With Morgan Frost on the ice, they outshot the Nashville Predators at 5-on-5, 9-2. They collected 85.82% of the expected goals on a night, again, where the Flyers never had the puck. And this isn't even talking overtime or when they pulled the goalie or those power plays. This is 5-on-5 play. And Morgan Frost is on the ice. The Flyers control play. Basically the only time the Flyers control play, and he gets the dramatic game-tying goal with seconds running down. Morgan Frost had a legitimately full-fledged good game that he just happened to punctuate with a super clutch goal. And for that reason, he's my first star.
More than anything, I'm happy for Morgan Frost. It's been tumultuous for him, to say the least. And it's not like it's not some of his doing. Like, he needs to play better a lot. But it's a lot, and I'm just happy that he at least got this moment tonight. That's cool to see after the last couple of weeks. All right, let's hit those super chats.
Heyo.
All right, this first one here from Vince Pellegrini. We're leading off with Vince. Why not us? Well, Vince.
Well, did you watch the game?
Because Nashville's in 31st place, and they just dominated the Flyers for all but about 11 seconds. All right. Let's hit this next one from Corey. I'll take undeserving wins for $500, Alex.
As I said, they did play good defense. I don't think this is a completely undeserved win. It's just they did a lot of things wrong.
They've had a lot of these, like that Ottawa game.
Yeah,
that's a game
very similar.
Very similar. Like they didn't deserve this. This, I will say, they at least fought to keep. Like that one was just like Ullmark was the worst player on the ice in the game, and so they win. But this is, they fought in a game where they didn't have it to keep it close and give themselves a chance. And when you give yourself a chance, sometimes it works out. So it's not a complete, this isn't their least deserved win of, this month. Jeez.
Yeah. And something too, I want to point out, because we very much looked at this from a Flyers perspective.
Yeah.
I'm going back to what I said after Monday's game, where I just said, look, that's a game where if the team that knows how to win wins, and the team that isn't ready to win loses. The Flyers probably should have won that game, but Vegas is a winning team and they found a way to win. Flyers found a way to lose. This game, the Nashville Predators, don't forget, the Nashville Predators are cruising in this game. They've had the puck the whole game, and I know that the goal isn't scored during this power play. They take a too many men on the ice penalty with 3 minutes left, and apparently, according to one of the Nashville beats that I follow, it's their third straight game with a too many men on the ice penalty. That's a team that is finding ways to lose.
Like, I don't remember this to be definitely a fact, but I swear one of the reasons John Stevens got fired is because that team just constantly put too many men out on the ice. It was like a problem. All right, so maybe, like, I don't know that the Flyers know how to win, but Nashville knows how to blow it, and that's kind of been their MO this season.
Yeah.
All right, let's see this next one here from JH. Let's effing go Flyers. I just hope they don't get dog walked on Friday like last year. No one
Fingers
wants
crossed,
to see.
JH. Fingers crossed.
Do you, Charlie, do you expect a largely Rangers contingent at the game?
I don't know. It's a Black Friday game. There's a lot of Flyers fans that this is like a tradition for them to do the Black Friday game. But Rangers fans travel well. The Rangers are kind of a little bit of a mess right now. You know, they have trade rumors because I guess somebody leaked that they're willing to trade Chris Kreider in addition to Jacob Trouba. The Rangers are a little bit of in a state of flux. If the Flyers are going to beat them, this would be the time.
That's something I wanted to mention when we were talking in pregame, like Tyson Forster's name popping up. And it's like you said, this might just be like the, hey, guy, you're not as much a part of this as you think you are if you don't pick up your game.
Yeah.
Like Jacob Trouba, that's not like they've been trying to move him for like over a year. But Chris Kreider, like, that's a dude for them. Yeah. That's a homegrown dude. He's been there a long time. That seems like message sending to me. So maybe you're catching them at the right time too. All right. This next one here is another from JH. Unable to finish on the 6-on-4 players or Rocky.
Who cares? They scored the game tying goal, JH. This is you being a little bit too critical.
They have succeeded in that situation. I mean, you don't score on every one. It's worked for them in the past. It's also Juuse Saros in net. Like, Nashville has always been a good defensive team. I can't put this one on it. This one doesn't bother me as much as many of their failings on power play. That's all.
They scored like 10 seconds later.
They did do the thing that they often say, like, oh, you didn't score on the power play, but you built some momentum. Well, they at least didn't lose momentum. They didn't blow the game in it. They didn't give up the empty netter or anything, so that was good. All right, let's see the next one here from Rypar. This team is insane. The last 3 minutes of a game, the Flyers turned into the best team in hockey. How is this possible? Thank you, Rypar. $9.99. That's a big one, too. Yeah. Charlie, I feel like maybe it's just because, again, sometimes we hyper-focus so much because we cover the Flyers every single day for like 10 years. This has been their thing for a long time. Like the Giroux teams did this. Like, I swear that they go to overtime and have dramatic games more than anybody.
They are the chaos organization since 1967, and it will be until 2267 or whenever the world ends. They will always be the chaos organization.
67 minutes from now. All right, another super chat. Is this okay? Kolosov should start Friday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't
alternating.
Care.
I don't care, but I like alternating right now.
It's kind of like whatever because it's a back-to-back. So they're gonna split the two. I don't really care who starts Friday because the other goalie's starting Saturday.
In that case, I want Kolosov to reward him for tonight. But yeah, ultimately, whatever. Is that it? Do we have any more? Okay, from Roger Miller. One day I will buy Charlie O'Connor a beer in Nashville.
I'll take it.
Just buy him a beer anytime. He's out and about. Charlie goes all over the place.
Yeah, but I think Roger Miller is based in Nashville.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, because why? Yeah, okay.
There you go.
This is why you're the capital J journalist. All right, I believe that is all the super chats we have, and that means that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, you know the drill. Follow us right here on YouTube. Hit that like button. Let's do one of those like spikes everyone's always talking about right now.
Do it.
Follow us on YouTube. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. We'll be back with pre- and post-game on Friday this week. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Really hope you enjoy your holiday. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. I'm still there, grinding it out on Twitter, Charlie. It's quite a place still. And finally, follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. All right, that'll do it for us. Happy Thanksgiving. Really, really glad. I'm thankful for all of our viewers, all of our listeners, everyone who helps us do what we do here at PHLY. Thankful for you as well, Charlie. And until Friday, let's go Flyers.